If you get sick, you want an ambulance to come, that costs, and then there are facilities all over the library. Y'all want to be able to go to the library and check out books or go online and get your information. We fund all the schools. You know, not that everybody in jail is bad, but there are some people that probably need to be there. I want to have a facility where they're there. So you're talking about the jail costs are astronomical to actually house people and feed them and pay for the folks to actually be there. So there just is a lot that we're required to do, but the difference is, I think, that we only have 11 people. I think, personally, I think the more elected people that you have that have to make a decision, like in Congress and at the State House, the more dysfunctional it's going to be. Because think about it. We only have to think about the county. And even though the county is diverse, black, white, Latino, crazy, smart, not so smart, educated, not educated. I mean, we're just focusing on Richland County. At the State House, they're having to focus on everything. I mean, the whole state. So imagine that the people who represent the coast of Myrtle Beach or Hilton Head, they got to marry what their interests are with Columbia and with Spartanburg and Greenville. And so I think by its very nature, it's necessary, but it can be quite dysfunctional, because how do you get that many people to actually come together and agree on how to fund or do anything? So that's, I think, why. I think we have more of a, I think our focus, we're a little more focused in some ways and live within our means. Who's Aaron? Aaron, you got a tough question.
Well, I'm Aaron, and I'm in 12th grade. When I go to Midlands Tech, I plan to major in architecture, well, civil architecture, and I help work on some bridges and buildings that would help build the community in other areas.
Okay, and I'm going to leave you my card also. Make sure you get it, because I would love for you to take some time and spend with our public works people who actually have to, or they can put you in touch with people at SCDOT so that you can go out and look at bridges and stuff like that and see. And I think he's very smart. Not that I'm saying that anybody else isn't, but a lot of people at your age, you kind of like dismiss going to like Midlands Technical College. But see, the thing is that his class is going to be small, it's going to be a little bit cheaper, and when he leaves, he'll leave with a degree and can go on to get his 4-year degree. So a lot of people dismiss that, but it's not a bad idea, especially for someone who wants to kind of figure out, who's uncertain about what they want to do. That's a way to get your foot in the door of college and figure that out. There are people that have left Midlands Tech and gone on to Harvard and everything because they've done so well. So if you are kind of undecided, don't allow your friends' decisions to go to a big university and stuff to drive you, even though you might not want to be looking in your parents' face every day and everything. There's nothing wrong with taking a semester or two and getting some college credits that you can actually transfer. And until you figure out what you kind of want to do, and you're not wasting up a whole lot of money and $25,000 in debt. But anyway, in answer to his question, I had touched on this. Act 388. Act 388 basically changed the way schools were funded, essentially. And a lot of the legislation was driven by the fact that houses in areas, homes in areas, or properties in areas that saw a lot of growth. The taxes increased quickly, and those were primarily in areas along the coast, like Hilton Head and Myrtle Beach. And so basically, the taxes went up quickly, but they went up quickly because the area was growing fast and the values went up. And so they basically were like, oh, we need it capped. And so what this did was it limited the county's ability to actually raise taxes, and it also distributed the taxes not fairly among people. Because, for example, say you have a grandmother that lives somewhere in an area that's small, and I'm talking about the county, our county, small, and her taxes didn't go up because the value of her home. Like if you live in an area where people aren't moving in, and it might be a little rundown and stuff like that, your values are not going to increase too much because it's based on what people will pay for it. And if people aren't moving in, chances are they're not going to pay very much for it. Well, what Act 388 did was it unfairly distributed the tax burden because the people that have the higher growing areas, whose homes maybe shot up to $500,000 because that's what it's valued at, their taxes got capped. And then what it meant was that maybe in grandma's neighborhood where the values didn't go up, she has to be taxed more in order to make up for that money. That's a very simplistic way. But I think the latest estimates, it was supposed to collect upwards of more than $1 billion for schools. Well, it didn't happen, and that's one of the reasons why the state has almost $1 billion shortfall. And so it hasn't been good for counties because it's taken away our flexibility in raising taxes and doing what we need to do. And you all may say, oh, well, that's a good thing. Well, it's not, because the way the state formulas work, the school districts always have to get a cost of living increase. So if nothing changed today, next year, taxes would have to go up because the cost of running schools goes up every single year. Gas prices are going up. So the counties can't necessarily pay for it with the money that they have. And you want to be careful about dipping into your emergency reserve fund because you need that for when there's a true emergency. Before I came to the county, long before I came, I think in the 90s, they actually were in dire straits because they didn't plan well. And so they actually had to borrow, like basically take a credit card against future tax reserves. No local government ever wants to be in that position. So the county was in that position back in, I think, the 90s.
I'm Jay. I'm a sophomore after high school, going to go to college for business management. This week's devastating tornado has really put life into proper perspective for you. How much does Richland County depend on the state for emergency response services like recovery from earthquakes or tornadoes? Are we adequately prepared for widespread natural disasters?
Okay, well, I'm going to put this in the best way that I possibly can. Our EMS department is bad to the bone all day long. Now, that's not to say that we can, I mean, they are one of the top, I think they were the EMS Division of the Year. Our EMS director has been EMS Director of the Year. And I'll give you an example. In 2000, you guys were probably, what, 7, 8 years old or something like that? 5? Okay. I didn't say I was an expert at math, but anyway, 5. Oh, I'm so depressed. Oh, I'm depressed. Oh, I'm depressed. Anyway, long before September 11th, I actually did weapons of mass destruction training. Because what happened is our EMS department, and when I did that in 2000, because September 11th happened in September 2001. Okay, so anyway, we actually went to Mount Weather, Virginia, which is like the secret underground bunker with all this stuff, and that's actually where the then Vice President was taken after September 11th happened. But I thought it was just the craziest thing in the world for us to be doing weapons of mass destruction training. It just seemed very woo, but we got a grant from the federal government, from FEMA, to go. And what that taught me, we had police from the University of South Carolina, we had hospital officials, we had sheriff, we had Columbia, we had some folks from Lexington, we had, we had fire, we had EMS people, we had county council people, because in the event of a natural or man-made disaster or horrific event, people have got to move and know what to do. And so my part is not that I was out there saving the world or anything, but I have to be able to know what to do in the event of that there's a disaster. Rumor control. For example, think about if something happened, and I don't want to be, morbid, but if something happened at a school, there's a lot of rumors. You think y'all's parents would be driving up here trying to get in here? I mean, you've got to have people who are like, okay, stay calm, everybody's safe. You know, you got to figure out how to get information out. And so that was incredible training for me. And at least 2 or 3 times a year, our EMS department partners with other folks from around this area and does what they call tabletop exercises. And that's where they basically rehearse things that have happened. We've rehearsed like an outbreak of influenza, and because it's big, because